What lurks behind this unassuming storefronts in Cleveland, Ohio? It's the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic. Learn the history of Wicca and the tale of those who brought it to the United States. See the tools of magic, once used by practitioners of the arcane arts. It's the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic.
Welcome back to the Buckland Museum Radio Frankenstein Controls live stream broadcasting, pretty much just out of the Buckland Museum gift shop. Today is our first return guest, Lilith Dorsey, whose new book, Water Magic, the first volume in Llewellyn's Elements of Witchcraft series, is now out. Lilith recently donated personal items to the Buckland Museum collection, and we thought we should invite Lilith on to discuss. But first, a piece of business. We are currently sold out for all tours on Friday, October 30th and Saturday, October 31st. Still some availability on November 1st, but those seem to be going quickly. Sorry, COVID doesn't make things easy for anyone. Also, get ready for Friday morning for a big announcement about another new addition to the museum. Really excited about this. But welcome back, Lilith. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me back. And I'm so excited. I felt like this was totally a meeting of the minds. Like I had a bunch of stuff that I was like, oh, this should go somewhere. And then y'all contacted me and was like, hey, would you like to donate some stuff? So it just worked out perfectly that I could, have some of my stuff there. I want to do a little dance. I'm in a museum.
So we adore you here, Lilith. So having some of your things here is really an honor. It's first of all, I just want to say Alicia's Goddesses and Voodoo Queens recently, how long has this been out? About a year?
No, not even. It came out in May. We were going to have a big, live Belton, celebration and everything like that, release party. And, pandemic happened. So,
that's right. So
6 months and it's been doing fantastic. I'm so proud of it. Like it's been #1 on the goddess list for most of that time. And people are really appreciating it and taking it to heart.
Yeah, this is one of our best sellers here at the Buckland Museum this summer. So I appreciate you putting it out. I thought it was a really wonderful read. But you know what? On to the new. We have Water Magic here, Elements of Witchcraft. First in the series. I know Estrella is doing air, right? And then I'm not sure what's up with Earth and Fire, but
I know Dodie McKay is doing one, but I'm not sure exactly which element she's doing. So
very cool. So this just came out. Any kind of brief description of this that you'd like to say to our guests?
It's everything you would need to know about water magic. There's water crystals, there's water lore, there's sacred sites, all over the world. There's sacred sites in your home and things you can do for yourself. There's spells, there's recipes, there's pretty much everything that you would want. And it was so surprising to me, some of the things that I discovered when I was writing it, because it was like, I remember I'm writing about whales and I was living in Brooklyn at the time, and there ended up being a whale over at Coney Island. And then I got off the elevator and there was a heron. So it was like water magic was popping up to meet me in so many different rare and unusual places when I was writing it, that it just seemed like it's a sign, but everything you need is in there. Trust me, gods, goddesses. I'm really proud of the folklore. I'm really proud of the contributors. Fat Man D from Pittsburgh contributed a poem. Jason Winsley from Chicago contributed a poem. Witch Dr. Utu did a whole chapter about the magic of the waterfalls in the Niagara region. And my friend Miguel Sage wrote he's a Taino elder. He wrote a whole chapter about the goddess mythology associated with water magic in the Taino culture. So it really was a collaborative effort, and I'm so proud of it.
It's I haven't read it yet, but I'm really excited to dig into it. So congratulations. It only just showed up a few days ago, so I don't feel like I'm slacking like I usually do. So I just want to say to our viewers, if you guys have any comments or questions for Lilith or I, please chime in. We always love to hear from you. This was kind of a last minute thing, so now a lot of people know that we're doing it. But you know what? It's Halloween season. We're both very busy. So do you have any plans for this weekend?
I do. I'm getting a visit from the Glam Witch, Michael Herkus. And he's coming down to visit. He wants to be in the witchy city down south for the holiday. So we're going to do a little something together. And then there's always a ton of stuff I do just personally. You know, ancestor work is so huge for what we do in my New Orleans voodoo style practice that there's cooking, there's dumb suppers, there's offerings, and it really lasts pretty much the whole Samhain season from before the 31st till Day of Dead, All Souls Day, all of these things we celebrate, and it just goes on. It's like a big party.
So Fet Gay Day is November 1st, right? This Sunday. Any plans in particular with that around your voodoo practice?
It's one of these things that it's really like, now we totally have a pandemic challenge, because last year, you know, we had personal ceremonies with my students / godchildren in Brooklyn. And we also were, you know, totally excited and happy to do the Fet Gay Day with Riva Neri Preseal in Brooklyn, which actually got coverage in the New York Times. I love her. I adore her. She gave me an endorsement for the book. She's just such a fabulous person. And I think for us, especially my godson, it was the first time we could actually be in a public space, and we were going to get attention from mainstream media, and it was going to be okay to say that we were doing voodoo. And then he loved the part that there was one, because the gay day, the spirits of the unnamed dead are very like lusty and sexual. So there's one part where everybody in the entire crowd, there had to be hundreds of people packed into this little nightclub, are chanting Zozo, Zozo, which is a Creole word for penis. So he was like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. So, yeah, COVID's a great destroyer, I found. So we should talk about some of the pieces that you donated here and talk about why they are special to you, because that's what this is all about. And I'm going to first show the case that Tony Rotunda, the owner of the Buckland Museum collection, put together here, featuring your pieces here. She's quite the an incredible woodworker. So incredible person to be around. So let's so this is this display, but let's start with this here. We'll start with this.
That's the Yemaya box, and it was so wonderful to me to be able to donate things that had been part of our spiritual practice and our altar for decades. So this box came from probably at least 20 years ago, maybe even more. And it was something that we created because I have a New Orleans voodoo style house. I belong to the Voodoo Spiritual Temple here in New Orleans. And then we have our own spiritual practice called the House of Mama Brigitte. And we honor both Orishas and Loas, which is non-traditional, but a lot of people that take part in my house, both the parent house and in my actual house, have those connections to the Orisha, have those connections to the Kumi and Ifa. So honoring Yemaya was something that we always had to do. And this honors the playfulness of Yemaya. It honors her in the mermaid aspect. It honors the sacred waters and the sacred seas. And this was just sort of a portable traveling altar box that we could have that would stay on the shrine when it was at home in the temple. But then if we needed to go travel, if we needed to do ritual, I've been doing rituals, public rituals at events and festivals for the past 25 years now. or longer actually. So this was something that we could take, we could set it up if we were at a campsite or a hotel event or something, and then people could have the ashe or sacred energy of Yemaya there with them. So it was filled with seashells and, you know, fish type offerings, traditional things that we would use for Yemaya.
So I want to say that I'm guessing that if you want to learn more about Yemaya, you want to check out the water magic book, right? I'm guessing that there's probably about 5 or 6 pages were mentioned. You know,
There's a lot in there about Yemaya. There's a lot in the Orishas, Goddesses, and Voodoo Queens book too about Yemaya. Because I think
awesome.
a lot of people, especially witches and you know, other denominations of paganism, really Yemaya speaks to them because she's got this mother goddess thing. So a lot of people can relate to her on that level. And a lot of people feel close to her because they have those special sacred times when they're near the ocean, when they're near the sea.
Yeah, so we've had a depiction of her in the collection since Ray had it way back when. So always honored, you know, here at the Buckland. So all right, so next up we have Papa Legba. So
all right,
what do you say about this bag here?
That is a Legba bag that was made by my god kids for a ceremony that we did probably about 12, 13 years ago. It features the Legba Veve, which is usually the cross. And that it's because he symbolizes the crossroads in between the world of the invisibles and the visibles. So Legba functions as like a messenger. My priest Lou Martinet always used to like to say that Legba's the wise father who is, you know, I apologize if this is lusty for the audience, but he's the wise father who's so old that his penis has fallen off and he's using it as a cane to have sex with the earth while he walks. So I always loved that kind of image. It's this kind of like, you know, wise grandfather fertility image that's just connecting on so many levels through so many lives, through so many worlds, through so many sacred spaces. And this is something that we put together. We do a lot of Legba work. Obviously, you have to salute Legba before you begin every ceremony. So this is something that my god kids put together because they were hosting the ceremony, and it was just an amazing time. It was, you know, we don't do it like that anymore, and we certainly don't do it like that now that there's COVID and a pandemic. But I remember having, you know, 10 drummers in my living room, and it was all like, you know, stomp the yard kind of time where we just had such a beautiful celebration for Legba. And I wanted to share that with the museum because I think there had to be a piece of Legba in there to help people access the spirit world in that way, because he does sort of guard the doors and the paths that people are traveling on.
Yeah. You know, people talk about gatekeeping, especially in the occult, but this would be a good gatekeeper. So
yes, a different kind of gatekeeping.
And the last part of this, so I just want to say that we have another piece. It's a really beautiful ceremonial robe that Lilith has donated, but unfortunately, due to space issues in the museum, we're kind of waiting to present that, and we're kind of hoping in the nearish future, but you know what? Our lips are sealed here. But the last part is an Ancestor Doll from Kenya. So, Lilith.
Yes, this comes from, you know, I think a lot of people have misconceptions about voodoo dolls, and what's really more common in the practice is ancestor dolls. So these dolls represent somebody who was passed, either somebody that you knew or somebody that you didn't know. So the energy is there so that those ancestors can be present during feasts, they can be present during ceremonies, they can be present, you know, at all parts of your life. So it's almost as if they haven't passed, they've just transformed into a new state. And I think this gets bastardized so much in the media about, oh, well, this is, you know, it's evil or blah, blah, blah. And it's really more just a sacred way about remembering those who have gone before us, remembering those who were important and still sort of I want to say helping them so they can help us. It's not something, weird or creepy or whatever. It's really just like, hey, I see you. I honor you. I know what you went through. I think this has been especially helpful for me at these times, knowing that my grandmother and people who went before me lived through the 1918 pandemic and lived through other really intense and challenging times, just as we do today. So it helps me to remember that and draw on their strengths and honor the things that they did to get through it and hopefully help myself through it.
I think that's really a beautiful explanation of what you have going on here. So now on display at the Buckland Museum. So Lilith, I know that you are extraordinarily busy down there in New Orleans. You're prepping for something. It looks like there might be a hurricane heading your way.
That's what they're telling us.
You know what? I don't want to raise the anxiety, but I also feel like I should probably say, hey, thanks for hanging out. And, we're going to be thinking about you here the next few days. Best vibes to you. And even through that, I mean, what's the hurricane but a whole lot of water, right?
It is. More water magic. Here we go.
So, this is the time for you to shine. So, thank you so much. If you want to hold on just a moment, I'm going to say goodbye to our viewers here really quick, but I want to talk to you about one last thing here really quick. So, thank you, Lilith. And thanks for everybody that tuned in here to hear about our new recent acquisitions to the museum. Like I said, I have something coming up on, Friday, October 30th, 50 years of something that I want to talk about, which is really exciting. But, until then, I just want to say to all you guys checking this out to, it's Halloween season, so it's easy, but please, stay witchy, our friends.